The fashion in rugs at the moment, as far as I could see, I've seen this all over, is rugs that look like they're really old and worn. We should have some wedges.
Oh, we should. So you want wedges every time you get a question
I
right?
want wedges. And I showed you one because I like the colours on it, and you're like, you just started laughing.
Just a little drinky. It looked like something that had been probably in an institution for 50 years longer than it should have been.
Kinda did. Shall I get them?
Okay. So the...
Oh, I can't move my chair.
I'll just go.
It's wheelless now.
Sure.
Yeah. Am I ever going to get my biscuit
yes.
at the end of this?
I just want a biscuit.
Okay. It always says
Easy open.
Easy open. You know, you can
lies.
seal them back again. So
All
you know.
lies. Right, she'll get to slide one into her pie.
Yes.
And then we'll compare pies at the end of round 2.
It's got to be nooking. It can't be the others. They just sound.
But bear in mind,
stupid.
crotching is a combination of crochet and knitting. Welcome, everybody, to the Bakery Bears video show. And yes, autumn is properly here. My goodness.
Not yesterday. It wasn't. It was
Well,
20
today,
degrees yesterday.
let me tell you, today, running through do you know what? There's nothing better. It's the perfect time of year. You could be running, you could be walking, but I go for a run through our local town, and it's still dark, but then as I'm running, the sun is starting to come up, and dawn is happening. So you get the sort of the waking up of the world.
I love that.
It's marvellous.
It's my favourite time of day.
And as I'm running through, you know, there's some trees and there's like leaves, you know, brown leaves falling down, and it's like just perfect.
Picture postcard. And the stars this morning were amazing.
You could see Orion's belt pointing straight to Sirius, which is always the brightest star.
It's fantastic.
Certainly in our hemisphere. It's just marvellous.
Yeah, I take Dan up a cup of tea about 6:30 in the morning, so it's still pitch black, but I opened the curtains and I could see all the stars, and it was just like, oh my goodness, it was amazing.
Last time we saw you, we concluded this year's series of walks. And my goodness, what a wonderful... It just seems
fabulous.
It's made everything, what with my favourite colourways and with walking the moors and walking the dales, the year has literally flown by. It seems like 2 minutes ago that the year was just beginning. We were just beginning on our quest to discover all those wonderful colourways which you shared. And also,
yes.
I think when you sort of start out, we'd never done 10-episode series before. It seems like a lifetime. It's like, oh my goodness, it's going to last forever. And then suddenly, it's gone. It's gone. So what is going to fill that void? And I know there has been some wailing of gnashing of teeth from across the world. Some stress, some concern. But fear not, because the quiz show just for knitters, it's back. Yes, Knit or Forfeit returns through October. That will help us fill the void between now and the start of Kay's brand new series. Well, Kay's first ever series of Kay's Handmade Christmas. Now, last year, in a very tense final, Kay defeated me.
Yes.
And she was crowned the champion of 2020. But let me tell you, this year I'm back and I have revenge in mind. Oh, yes.
We shall see.
Yes. There's some changes coming too, which I think you're going to love.
Yeah.
What a show, though, we have in store for you, because something has happened. Something has been born in me.
Really?
Yes. That is a passion for something, a knitted object, which just totally blows out the water anything I ever had for bankheads.
Oh, wow.
Or, I mean, there was a sort of dalliance with the speargrass when I fell in love with lace.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin Pekorski. She actually played me in a round of Knit or Forfeit.
Yes, she did. Yeah, she did.
And that's what I was referencing, because she beat me, and my forfeit was I had to learn how to do lace. Yes, this came at me totally unexpectedly. You know, you start a project, don't you, and you just think, oh, you know, off we go. And then suddenly, within casting on and missing the first round, I was in.
I know what he's talking about now.
I was...
Can you see? I've been sat here going, what's he talking about?
I was so all in. It was just unbelievable. Let me tell you, I put out an episode of the Self-Contained Knitter yesterday, and it gives away what I'm talking about, because that episode which came out yesterday was titled "For the Love of Mittens."
Oh, you've given it away a little bit. Let me tell you.
I'm quite happy to tell people because I'm going to be showing them later. I'm so excited about this. I'm just going to come out with it. I'm in love with knitting colourwork mittens. Oh, yes.
And they're fabulous, what he's knitting.
I've already planned.
I found the pattern.
Yes. Well, when is that not the case?
Well, no, sometimes some people suggest patterns to you.
Sometimes.
But
99% of the time. But all I can say to you is I'm so into this, I literally have my next at least 3.
Yeah, lined up.
Yeah, I know the next 3 that I'm doing. I mean, just it brings together everything that I love about knitting in a package which progresses quickly.
And plus I love wearing mittens.
So it couldn't be more perfect. Now,
win-win.
Speaking of small sort of finger dexterity, because you need that when you're knitting mittens.
You do.
Yes. Why is it, given the fact that I've invested so much time in learning how to knit socks, and also now I'm investing time in mittens, and given the fact that I am a drummer, I'm a percussionist, why is it I can't open biscuit packets?
Oh, don't even go there.
I mean, look.
They're like hermetically sealed.
My mitts are quite large.
I have to open them for you, don't I?
Even
then I struggle.
Do you know what the issue is? It's these mini packets.
Yeah.
Because
it's packets within packets, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, how many packets do we need? Are we going to get to a point where these things are like those Russian dolls?
Oh, yeah. Am I ever going to get my biscuit at the end of this?
I just want a biscuit. And I made the mistake the other day. Oh, my goodness. You have to get... It's like tiny packets. I'm talking about Nairn's gluten-free ginger biscuits, to be specific. Yeah. And they come in a cardboard box, and then they come in packets of 4.
3 or 4, depending on how thick they are. The ginger ones are 4.
Yeah.
There's some ones that are thicker that come in 3s. We eat them every day. They're brilliant.
I mean, talk about being able to eat something and have no repercussions.
Yeah, same here. We have they do ginger, they do a fruit one, they do an apple and cinnamon, which actually I loathe cinnamon, which I've said many times, but it doesn't really taste like cinnamon, and I love those ones.
I wonder how many people make the mistake of ruling something out because they think they don't like something.
Yeah, you see,
when it's part of a whole melting
else.
pot.
Yeah, that's right. Because I love things like mince pies and Christmas pudding, and they all have cinnamon in.
Yeah.
But you can't taste it specifically. What I hate is when you sprinkle cinnamon on top of something. Like I don't drink coffee anymore, but coffee's a good example.
That's offensive.
Or like pastries.
I do drink
sometimes
coffee.
There's like cinnamon rolls, isn't there? Yeah. But can't go near those.
Do you know what? I don't really like cinnamon rolls. I like a Danish.
Yeah. Danish is nice with fruit in, but I just can't bear them.
Yeah, the cinnamon rolls, I'm not.
There's too much. Oh, no.
I just find it a bit odd as well, eating something that looks like it's covered in powder.
Well, that's the cinnamon,
I know, but it does. It looks like some sort of brown talc.
It's just overkill. There's just way too much.
Yes.
But then you see, I love nutmeg. I mean, they're not similar flavours at all, I don't think.
No.
But it's a similar sort of looking thing, isn't it? But I love nutmeg.
You can tell it's getting close to Christmas.
Talking about spices.
Because we're talking about cinnamon and nutmeg. Yeah. It wasn't even planned. It just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so frustrated. And I'm finding it more and more. And I don't know if there's any of you out there who are having similar problems, but I'm finding it more and more of a problem, not just with biscuits, with so many things. You have the same problem getting into cheese.
Yeah, like Parmesan. The chunks of Parmesan, and they come in a sealed thing, and it always says
easy open.
You can seal them back again. So
lies.
It's not true. You have to get the scissors to them. I was trying to open one the other night because we were having pasta, and I was like, right, I'm not even going to try, just get me the scissors. It's
bananas. Maybe, we spoke about this a few episodes ago, didn't we? Maybe it's just getting older.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either.
I think you could have given that Parmesan to
a
20-year-old American football player, and they would not have been able to get into it.
Someone's been watching the Gilmore Girls again and loving it.
Joy.
Not that she didn't the first time, but I think you're enjoying it way more this time.
Do you know, I've been watching the Gilmore Girls the past couple of weeks, and
what a brilliant idea.
It's just been amazing.
You need to start lining up your next one, and I think Parenthood is where you
Parenthood, I think I'll watch next.
Yes.
Like I said, I started watching it a couple of weeks ago, and You know, because I just didn't want to watch other things, and it's just been brilliant. I've got to say, though, this might be controversial. I don't know. Any Gilmore Girls fans?
No, it's going to be Marmite.
There?
Some people are going to agree. Some people are going to totally disagree.
I can't stand Lorelai, the main character. I really dislike her.
Now, I've seen the Gilmore Girls
You've
before,
seen it, yeah.
And I've also seen Parenthood, and I don't think
she's very similar.
I think that if a different actress was playing the part, I think you might feel differently.
I think you're probably right.
But I'm not criticising her, because I think if it wasn't her, you wouldn't be as into it as you are.
No, I mean, that is true, because I do enjoy sort of going, you know.
And I think you're supposed to think that. I think you're supposed to think that.
Yeah, I sort of wax and wane with her. Sometimes I think she's all right, and then she'll do something or say something, and I'm like, honestly, can you say anything without it being sarcastic or being a joke? But there are other people in it that I think are just amazing, like her mum. You know, Emily Gilmore is the most fantastic character.
She's just a great
and it's acted brilliantly well. I like her dad as well.
He's another great actor.
There's loads of characters in it that I think are fantastic, and it's just been great for my brain. It's
one of those well put together shows which I think you can go back and watch again and again, and I think people do. I think.
Oh yeah, I know there's some diehard Gilmore Girls fans.
Well, I think you would be in that group now.
Well, yeah, I watched it a few years ago, and I actually remember watching it when Dan was in hospital one time.
You were watching it in 2017.
Yeah, when you were having your big tummy surgery, wasn't it? And I remember watching it in bed then, because I couldn't get to sleep because I was so worried about Dan. So I just put on the Gilmore Girls and fell asleep watching it. And I did that each night that he was in hospital. And it just really helped sort of lull me to sleep. And I think it's that memory of it being a comfort that has really brought that back this time. And I think it's even more this time.
What people need, I believe, what you need at the end of the day is you need something which... And sometimes it's not just at the end of the day. If you've got a busy mind and you need it sort of occupying, you need something which is going to suck you in and make you think.
Yeah, it just stops me thinking about other things.
You have a creative mind, so it constantly needs to be engaged in something. And I've read lots of books about people with creative minds, and they all say similar things. You know, it's all like what you describe. You know, you need to try and find ways of getting it onto the right things.
Yeah, if I don't,
things are great.
Yeah, if I don't have the right things in there, then the wrong things get in there and just stay in there. Sometimes it's better not to look at certain things that don't have any effect on your life, I'm talking about. You know?
The Gilmore Girls definitely fits the bill of something rather lovely to sit and watch.
Definitely.
And she's been loving it, which has been great.
I have.
So if you haven't watched it, I would say, I bet the majority of you have.
I bet you have, yeah.
But if you haven't
watched it for a while, then, go. You know, go
because I suspect you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because even, like I say, even I enjoy watching it. It's a cool programme, you know. It's an easy thing to sort of get hooked into and to enjoy. Yeah. But look, less of that, because we have too many lovely projects to show.
Yes.
Kate Jones, what's on your needles?
So the first thing is in this lovely bag, and I pulled this bag out specifically because what's inside is kind of a festive. So it has got a sort of festive theme, but it's in this lovely bag. This is a bag made for me by my lovely Sasha, who I talk about all the time. She doesn't sell her bags currently, and it's got polka dots inside, which you can't go wrong, can you, with polka dots? Now, in this lovely bag is a pair of socks. Now, I've got to start off this little sort of, I don't even know what the right word is. Feels like a kind of religious sort of experience. I've rediscovered my love of knitting socks on DPNs. I don't know what made me give this another go. It was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? And I just wanted to do something different, didn't I?
She did, and I do have to say, whenever we create an awful lot of tutorials and things, and whenever I film you turning a heel on Magic Loop, I just look at it and I think, why are you doing this?
Oh, I enjoy that. I do enjoy that.
But on
process.
DPNs, The process.
It's a lot more straightforward.
It's so much more straightforward.
It's a lot more straightforward.
That was the thing, I think, which was holding me back when I was initially knitting socks. But, horses for courses, everybody's different.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful, though, that you're loving it.
It's been fantastic. And to be honest, it's pretty much all that I've knit the past couple of weeks, isn't it? Socks on DPNs. Yeah. I cast on 3 pairs, and I'm going to show you 2 of them today. This project, I pulled out a yarn, a vintage yarn, and one that I've discovered I think is now discontinued. I have had this quite some time in my stash, and I've just been saving it. And I just, when I decided to do this, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to stop saving these yarns, and I'm just going to knit them because, what's the point? And I think I also get to a point with saving yarns where I've looked at it that many times I don't want to knit it, and that's the other thing that can happen, isn't it?
Did you buy these? Did you buy this when you were looking for a replacement for Opal?
Possibly, but I saw Danny from Little Bobbins knitting this exact yarn, so gosh, you're talking, it might be 5 years ago,
Okay. So maybe not.
No, probably not, no.
Yeah.
I saw her knitting socks with this exact yarn, and I was like, I've got to go and find that. And I
you
bought
can't get this
anymore. No, I looked it up just yesterday to try and find some more, and I couldn't find it anywhere, so I'm presuming this particular one is discontinued. I got this from Suffolk Socks, and it's Grundl Hot Socks, and it's the diamond with merino. These are the ball bands. They're coming 50 grams, so I had 2. And you can see the colourway there. They put up a little sample. And this colourway number is number 8. I don't know if it had a name because I can't find any more of it. Well, I had 2 50-gram balls, and the composition is a 75-25. So it's superwash, virgin wool and 25% polyamide or nylon. I mean, it just says 75% virgin wool, so I don't know how much of that is merino. I don't think it's all merino from feeling it. It feels a bit more robust than having all merino. But certainly it must have some in because it's got that on the label. And I wound them into 2 balls because they come in like the normal sort of little skein things, and they're difficult to knit from, I find those. So I hand wound them into 2 balls. And can you see how I think they're very Christmassy looking? You've got reds and greens and sort of a tan colour and then grey, and they knit up just amazingly. So I'm also using my lovely little DPN cozies that I made. Yeah, I made that one. I made the other one, but I have got a few that I bought as well, or friends have made. So I could pull those out. And I'm knitting both socks at the same time. So I'll show you the one that's the furthest on, and you can see how it's knitting up. Now for this pair, I'm using wooden double points. I love these. These ones are Knit Picks Sunstruck, which I think are basically just like, what are they called? The ones that are all rainbowy colours. Knit Picks, can't remember. You know the ones I mean. I think they're basically like that, but it's undyed. It's just the plain wood. I don't think I can really put it on blockers. That's the only thing when you're working on DPNs, isn't it? But I'll show you. Look, is that not fantastic?
Yeah.
I just love how that's knitting up. So the repeat is really long as well. If you look up at the cuff here, we've got a red, green, and that repeat again is down here. So it's all of this is the repeat. It's just lovely. I'm using 2.5mm.
So when you said repeat there,
yeah,
what does that mean?
Where the colours, where the striping starts to repeat. So you can see.
So that's got nothing to do with a repeat in like a lace pattern.
No, well, no. It's how it's dyed.
Right. I didn't realise that's what you said.
Well, look, it starts again.
Yes,
so
I get you.
If you look at that, it starts again here. Yeah. So it runs from here all the way down to like the second grey section here.
So that's how you would describe if you were talking about a pattern in a self-striping.
Yeah.
Right.
And aren't they just, I can't stop knitting them. I just love them. The yarn is just lovely.
Well, how annoying.
I know. How annoying. You can still get Grundl. Grundl still do lots of ranges.
Yeah, because you bought loads of them when you were looking for a replacement for Opal. Do you still have that in stash, or have you used it? And probably you've used it.
Maybe I've used it. I think this is the only one I had in of the diamond.
Do you know what this is? This is a lesson. Because the lesson is, had Kay knitted with that years ago, realised she loved it, she could have bought loads of it and knitted loads of socks with it.
I probably would. Yeah, I probably would have. But I mean, maybe, I'll keep looking around. But I did have a good look. And like I said, Grundl do other ranges, but not the diamond. I couldn't find the diamond. Their other ones are lovely as well, but I just loved the way that this one knit up. It's just so nice. And I've put in a standard, traditional heel flap on this one. Heel flap and turn and gusset. And I couldn't decide what colour. Now, I'm going to do a tutorial on this actually, because it got me thinking about it and just how I go about choosing colours, contrast colours for heels and toes when I'm knitting socks. I'm going to do a video on that. For this one, where you've got lots of different shades of red and you've got a couple of greens, you've got some grey and you've got that sort of tan colour. You can try and pick out one of these colours and match it, but that's really difficult to match it exactly. And you could choose a red and it might be close, but it might not match exactly. And I would rather have a completely different colour than have a colour that doesn't quite match, because that just does something for me. And I decided, because there's lots of shades of reds in there, we've got like more of a Christmas red and then there's more like a berry sort of colour. I thought a pale pink would look nice with that, and pink and grey always look really nice, and I liked the pink and the tan together as well. And I'm really pleased, I really like that shade. I didn't want cream because I thought that was too stark of a contrast. But the pale pink, I think, works. And that yarn is another one that you can still get this, but this is quite an old yarn. And it's the Regia, My First Regia, it's called, or Baby Smiles. And these come in 25 gram balls. And they're only in sort of really pastel-y colours. You can get some that are variegated, but they are quite baby-themed colours. But I got this pale pink, which is 01035, and it's this lovely pale pink, and again I've wound it into a little ball. And the yarn composition is very similar as well, which I liked. So, because this one does feel, it's not super woolly or anything, but it feels like a nice robust sock yarn, sort of similar to an opal. I wouldn't put a hand-dyed yarn contrast with this type of wool. I want something similar so that it looks like it blends in. And this one is very similar. The composition, I feel like, is quite similar, and the thickness is quite similar. But I just really love this yarn. And I've got the other one to the point of being ready for the heel. This is another little DPN cozy that I made years ago. Cute little fabric. So this one is at the point of the heel. And they don't match. I like them not to match. If you can see, I think they look more interesting not matching. Yeah. You can tell it's the same yarn, but I quite like that it's offset a little bit. You see, it should be like that, shouldn't it, if it was going to match? But I quite like that it's not. So this one's ready for the heel. But I think probably what I will do is finish this one now, because then I'll have all the numbers for the how many rows, until the toe and everything. And I think I might do a pink toe. I think that will look nice.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I'll do a pink toe, because then it means that I'll have more leftovers, and I might even have enough to do like another pair of socks if I do contrast cuff heels and toes and do the leg a bit shorter. So then at least I get 2 pairs of socks out of this lovely yarn. So they're just lovely. And these needles are great. I really love these. They've got quite decent points, I feel. And they're lovely and smooth. There's
just no way that I could ever use needles like that. And I'll tell you why.
You would worry about breaking them. They're not too bad. They've got a little bit of give. I've never broken a wooden needle, so I'm not concerned about that.
I bent, and then I managed to straighten it out.
Yeah.
I bent a DPN, one of the cubics brass, one of 2.5 mil.
Yeah.
And without even thinking about it.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people would probably say that if you're a tight knitter, they'd be worried about using wooden DPNs. I find I'm using 2.5 millimetre, and I think I do knit slightly tighter on double points. I'm getting about 8.5 stitches to the inch, which is about also what I get on 2.25 working magic loop. So, I mean, that's another thing to know. And I've got to say, you know, after not knitting on DPNs for quite some years, I just thought I'm going to get ladders. I'm not getting a single ladder, which is a joy, isn't it? And if you look, this down here is where the DPNs have been.
It looks great. I mean, it really does look great.
I'm just so pleased with how sort of perfect it looks.
To my eye, that looks better.
It looks better than a magic loop sock.
Yes.
Because I do get that, because I use the Chowgu mini twists, which have that very thin cable. I've spoke about this before. But having that very thin cable does cause a tight line where that stitch drops onto the back needle, and then you transfer over to the front and you're tightening it up. But with these, I'm just not getting anything at all. They just look perfect.
I'm just convinced with the whole DPN magic loop thing. Yes, when you're knitting on magic loop, you have to think less when you're knitting down the sock and through the foot, but you have to think more when you're doing the heel.
Yeah.
Whereas on DPNs, I would say that you just have to think a little bit down the whole.
Yeah, because we both, because I taught Dan how to knit on double points, so he knits the same way I do, but I use 5 double points to knit with.
You taught me how to knit on everything.
So I hold my stitches on 4, and I knit with the 5th. I have knit a pair of socks using just 4 needles, so where you hold them on 3 and knit with the 4th. I have done that. I knit a whole pair of socks and it was fine, but I found that the joins were, you know, there was just more tension because you've got a triangle shape instead of a square, and I think a square is more of a round than a triangle is. And I just feel like there's less tension at those corners when you're transferring. But the biggest advantage for me of working this many needles is that you've got an even number of stitches on all of your needles. So particularly when you're working the heel flap and the gusset decreases, it just makes that whole thing much easier because you don't really have to think about how many stitches are on each needle. And I know some people, I think, would have all of their instep stitches on one needle and then the gusset stitches on 2 needles. But that's very disproportionate, I feel, anyway it is. But again, each to their own, and I know some people who find knitting with 5 needles too many and they sort of get in their way. But I just love this, and you know, the fact that I'm not getting any ladders whatsoever, it's just such a joy, isn't it?
That's lovely.
And they're just, it's like, lovely. Wooden needles, and I've knit that needle, just change to the next and go around and around, and it's just been really lovely. I'm loving it, so probably have them finished for next time, I would have thought, because I can't stop knitting them. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needles?
I'd like to introduce you to the greatest colourwork project in the world.
Oh, gosh.
And it's not the mittens.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell you why. Look.
Oh, it's your cowl.
It's my sweetheart cowl. And the reason why this is the greatest colourwork project in the world is because, first of all, it is gorgeous. But what I wanted from this project was something that was going to help me get better with my colourwork. And just take a look at this. This here is terrible. It's sucking in. It's puckering. Awful, awful technique. So knit through, thinking greatly about this, feeling ashamed, and then through to the bottom, adjusted my technique, and just look at that. That is not pulling in.
No,
look,
it's loads better. I know.
Look at that.
I've seen it.
Sucky.
Yeah, you showed it to me.
And down here,
I do think that will block.
Yes.
It's not too bad.
It's awful. Down here,
it's not awful.
The adjustment that I made was I made sure I carried my floats religiously every third stitch.
Gosh, wow.
And up here...
That's time consuming, that, isn't it?
Up here, I was not doing that religiously. And the difference... Well, you can see the difference. Because the one thing that I despise in colour work is when it sucks in.
I don't like that either.
You've just messed it up then. And, you know, I remember my first sort of full-on colour work project was the split-back snowflake hat.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
It was dreadful.
Yeah.
I'm glad I knitted it. By the way, the pattern's lovely, and the one that... Did you make two?
No, I made one for Bryony. She loves it.
It's just absolutely gorgeous. But what it did was, all the way up, was it was just sucking inwards because I wasn't floating right. Whereas now, I mean, I'll turn it back the other way. I was holding it that way so that you could really see that sort of polka dotty bit. But just look at the pattern. The pattern's cool.
It's very cool.
Oh.
I do love the dotty bit up here with these colours. It reminds me of that rug I showed you last night.
Yeah.
Don't even go there.
Last night, Kay showed me 500 rugs, and every one of them she loved. And then I said... Pick 3 that you like, and I'll pick, you know, the one that we'll get. And she couldn't remember any of the ones that she said she liked.
No.
So I've told her that today she needs to sit down and she needs to save all the ones she looks at and she likes, and then we can make a decision.
There's too many. There was literally like 700 and something on Dunelm's website. I was like, how am I supposed to make this decision?
It's a challenging knit.
That's good.
Yes. When I say it's a challenging knit, it's not remotely challenging, is it, when you look at it? But to get it to sit nicely, you really have to concentrate. And that's a good thing. You know, the best things take a bit of effort, don't they? You have to put a little bit in. You get out what you put in. And just what I get so much reward from in anything that I learn, anything that I do, is when you do it, you analyse, you know, you reflect back on how you've done, you pick the areas which you think you can get better at, you then apply those sort of areas, those techniques to those areas, and you see if it works. And what's so great about this is, because it's just a cowl and because you're just going straight up and you're not doing decreases and knitting sleeves
I love cowls.
and all of that.
Oh,
well,
I love them.
I'll be honest.
You're not keen?
No.
What, wearing them? You don't like wearing them?
Oh, I don't mind wearing them. I don't mind wearing them at all. I mean, I love the harbour cowl.
I know, that's
I mean, I've worn that probably... In fact, that is the thing which I always wore walking when I needed a cowl.
In fact, I might dig that out because it's got a relevance to something I've bought. So I'll dig that out for Endy Bits.
But I don't really enjoy knitting cowls unless there's something in it to keep me hooked.
Yeah.
And this absolutely keeps me hooked. If there was anything else going on whilst doing all of this, I wouldn't be able to focus on the technique and getting it right.
It really does remind me of those rugs I showed you last night that you were laughing at, right?
Oh yeah, okay. So
because the fashion
what the people at the carpet company have done is they've gone, I know what we'll do. You know, all those carpets that we go in and we normally chuck in a bin because they're worn out. What we'll do is we'll say they're cool, we'll charge a bit more for them, and everybody will buy them. And then what happens? Everybody does.
The fashion in rugs at the moment, as far as I could see, I've seen this all over, is rugs that look like they're really old and worn. And I showed you one because I like the colours on it, and you're like, you just started laughing. I said, what are you laughing at? He said...
It looked like something that had been probably in an institution for 50 years longer than it should have been.
Kind of did. Yeah,
I mean,
kind of did.
They're having a laugh. What's going on with this pre-aged business? It's not the first time I've heard of this.
No,
it's happened in other things too.
I've seen rugs like this quite commonly.
It's not just rugs though. It happens in other areas.
Right.
Yeah, like cymbals for drums.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Pre-aged cymbals.
Yeah. That's been hit loads. That's called second hand. You don't pay more for it, you pay less.
Yeah, but these rugs are brand new and they, you know, it's not like the second hand, they're brand new.
Yeah, that's what they tell you.
But they look...
Honey, that's what they tell you.
It's brand new, they are brand new. But the one that I really loved had all these triangles on it. I'm obsessed at the moment by triangles. And I said, right, I'm just going to get that one, and went back and looked, not in stock. That's why I'm having a dilemma.
The other thing that I'm really happy with on here is it's still not quite right, but there's less of a difference between the knitting here and the knitting here.
Oh, right.
Compared to down here, And even through here...
The plain stocking stitch, you mean?
It's getting better. I want my colour work to look like my plain stocking stitch. And I won't be happy until it does.
That's quite a target, isn't it?
I'm going to get there.
But it doesn't... Your jumpers are brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it's thicker yarn. And this is thinner yarn, and it's not that kind of grippy, lovely yarn.
And that's a challenge.
It is a challenge.
That's what I like.
You're doing a great job. I think when that's blocked as well, and I think it'll look lovely.
Well, there's been lots of people asking about this.
We should call it
it's the sweetheart cowl.
Second-hand cowl or something, because it looks like one of those rugs.
So that's my lovely sweetheart cowl. The yarn is marvellous. It's the Regia Merino yak.
You've got another ball of that, but you've still got a good chunk there, so you never know. You might manage it with that.
And that's the fondant fibre. Happy Christmas, Harry.
Yes, you got it right.
For the first time ever. Boom. Now, just before Kay shows you the next thing, I must just tell you quickly. Yesterday, for the first time in my life, I was out somewhere. Someone showed me a pair of socks that their mother had knitted for them.
Really?
And I was able to identify the yarn.
You were out somewhere and someone showed you some socks?
Yeah, the mechanics.
You're joking?
No.
The mechanics at the garage had hand-knitted socks on?
No, one of the customers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she showed me her socks, and I knew straight away what it was.
What was that?
It was opal.
That's amazing.
I said, that's German yarn, that's opal. And she said, well, yeah, you'll be right. She said, I'm not completely certain, but I'm German, and it was knitted by my mother, who's at the time was living in Germany.
A real-life knitting experience. And you didn't tell me that.
Well, I was like, I can't believe it. Is this the moment? It was like the flower bloomed.
I've been building up to this moment to be able to tell that. Was it a lady?
It was a lady. It was more for me because it was more like, I can't believe this. I'm looking at that and I know what it is. You know, when you consider, long-term viewers will know that historically my knowledge of yarn hasn't been great. To be fair, though, if ever you had to pick a yarn, opal probably would be the easiest to pick.
You can normally spot an opal yarn, can't you? Yeah.
Anyway,
well done.
I know, it's cool. What else is on your needles?
Well, this is an excellent project bag for this next one.
Oh, I can't stand these bags.
I didn't even give it a bag because it's quite a small little project.
You put these bags somewhere and they slide out.
It's one of these.
No matter where you put them, they slide away.
Yeah, I know. It's one of these organza bags that you get from... This is Wool Warehouse, but quite often I tick the box that says no organza bag. But I use them within my yarn stash, you know, to separate different things off. So I do use them. But this was holding the yarn for this project in one of my boxes. And I just got it out to start knitting the project, and it's that quick of a project that I couldn't even be bothered putting it in a bag. I thought there's no point, but I haven't finished it yet. This is a cute little kind of, it's not a stuffy as such, it's like a little toy thing, and it's a Susan B. Anderson pattern. I was asked to knit this for a family member. She asked me a few months ago now, and I kind of forgot. But she did say, oh, do it me for Christmas.
One of our most cherished family members. She was what led to the Dunbrock design, wasn't
she? That's right, yeah. Yes. And we're seeing her soon, actually, and I thought, oh, I'm going to get this finished so I can give it to her when we see her, because that'll be a little surprise. And she's into kind of like elves and fairies and things like that.
Who isn't?
And I showed her, she'd found a few little patterns and showed them to me, but they were all crochet, they were amigurumi. And I said, oh, do you know, as much as these are really cute and adorable, I just can't do crochet. But I said, I'll look around and I'll find something similar in knitted pattern. And I found this one and I showed her and she was like, can I have that, please? So I said, yes, you can. And it's a Susan B. Anderson pattern, like I said, and it's called Flower Fairy and Leaf Sprite. And if I just show you this page, there's nothing. It is a paid for pattern, but this has just got all of the requirements on it. It's black and white, but you get the gist. Can you see here? Look, there's two little fairies or sprites, whatever you want to call them, and then there's a little leaf sleeping bag and a little flower sleeping bag, and they sleep in there. And they've got wings on the back too, and their hats come off. So Flower Fairy and Leaf Sprite, Susan B. Anderson. So I thought that's perfect, and she wanted the leaf and then a little sprite, but she wanted a face on it because she thought that was just creepy, not having a face. I said, that's fine, I can put two eyes and a mouth on it, no problem. So I've started knitting this and I've finished the leaf. Now the pattern calls for sport weight, which I hate it when a pattern calls for sport weight because it's just not a weight that's common here in this country. However, Susan used Quince & Company Chickadee. Now I have knit with Chickadee. I knit a shawl with it years ago. Still got it. And I remember the yarn, and it is, I think, quite close to a DK weight. And the needle size that she recommends is 3.5mm, which for me, again, would be a DK weight needle. So I thought, right, okay, I think I had all but one of the colours. I just had to order one of the colours in King Cowl Merino DK, the anti-tickle, the one that Dan knit the cascades in.
That's right.
And I've actually got a bit of that purple left over because I might use some of that. That's the colour, can't remember. It's the colour that Dan knit my jumper in. So I had that one. The only thing I didn't have is a green for the leaf. So I got a green, which was this one. This is bay leaf. It's a really nice leafy green. But all the other colours I had. So I've got a cream for the wings. I've got a sort of face colour. I think that's oatmeal and Aran is that colourway. And then the little body of the sprite I'm doing in orange. And this one is cinnamon. So very autumnal colours, and she'll like that. She does like very autumnal colours. So I've finished the little leaf and I've blocked it. Oh, look. How cute is that? Now in the pattern, Susan does the stem in a different colour. But I didn't really have a different colour for the stem, so I just thought, I'll do it in one colour, and it worked out fine. So the little sprite goes in here, look. It's like a little leaf sleeping bag. How cute is that? So the leaf's all done. It didn't take me very long. I don't know, a couple of hours maybe. An afternoon I did that. I did block it because the little opening, which is sort of like a buttonhole, you cast off and then cast back on the next row round. It's knitting the round. It's just like a buttonhole, but they don't tend to lay very flat, so I thought I'll give it a little block and it's much better. I think it's fine because she'll be putting the little sprite in and out of it anyway. And I've started the fairy or sprite. I don't know, what's the difference between a fairy and a sprite? Apart from one's a drink and the other one's a washing up liquid. I'm not sure there is really a difference.
You want to get that one mixed up.
I know, but I've done the body, so the body's going to be in the orange, and then the head will be in the head colour, like that. And then the hat will be in this sort of purpley colour. And then she will have little cream wings on the back. So I think all the colours are really nice. And it won't take very long at all to finish. I just couldn't quite finish it in time this time, because now I've got to the point where I need to stuff this. This is the body, I need to stuff it, and then you carry on and knit the head. And it's a really sweet little pattern. I think it'll be super cute, and I might knit a little set for Bryony for Christmas maybe, if I can bring myself to do it, because I've got to say I'm kind of out of the habit of knitting tiny little toy things. That's how I started back knitting, knitting toys. Tiny little things, and I always loved it. I've knit so many in the past, so many, and I've just not done it for such a long time, so I was a bit out of the habit. But you get back into it, and the leaf was great. Didn't have any problems knitting that. I did change the top just slightly, the way that Susan finished it off. I just changed that a tiny bit because I wanted it to look nice and pointy. I don't know, the method that Susan used I hadn't done before, so I just did what I would have done. So leaf done, fairy body done, and look, it tucks. So look, the fairy will go to sleep in there, so it'll tuck in. Oh look, she fits and be really cute. So I will show you it finished next time because it won't take me long to finish, and it'll be super cute. Great little gifts for children, I think, at Christmas, or little autumn gift. It's really sweet. There's nothing on it that you couldn't give to a young child. There's no bits that, there's no eyes or anything like that. It's perfectly safe to give them, I would say. And just really cute. I'm looking forward to doing the hat because it's like got a little stalk at the top of it. It looks like a little sort of pumpkin hat kind of cuteness.
Cool.
Oh, Ooh.
Mittens.
Mittens.
Look.
Time for mittens.
Oh, yes. This really is it. I mean, just, you know, Latvian braid.
Looks great.
I mean, look at this one by... It's not proper corrugated ribbon, that is it? Because you knit one pearl, don't you, with corrugated ribbon?
Yes, I think you do.
And do you know what? I wonder if it actually might be cool with corrugated ribbon on it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I think it probably would. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But just... because...
It looks great.
What's so epic about this is I don't knit very many colourwork projects which knit up so fast. So in real time you can make changes and see problems and adjust and do stuff. So it's like perfection for me, and like wanting to get better, as I've spoken about already at length today. But also as well, it's something different. It's something sock-like, but not a sock. And so, you know, doing the increases around this side.
Look at the back.
And the increases are here. And it was great yesterday because Kay couldn't quite spot them, which was brilliant.
Couldn't see where he'd done the increases. I knew it was in the sort of stripy section.
It was really great that she couldn't spot it because it, you know, meant that I was doing them correctly. Because there was every chance I could do it incorrectly. And of course, if you... So you're going through the front and knit through the back, or you're going through the back and knit through the front. But historically, sometimes I've gone in through the back and knit through the back, and then that creates a little hole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't do that because it doesn't work. But I love the fact that every row is so completely different. I mean, that to me is... I mean, and I love the palms. If I was wearing these, I'd walk around like this. Yes, the star's nice, but look.
Pity they won't fit you.
And... that gives away what the pattern is. It's star.
It's called Star. Yeah, that's the translation.
And it's by...
Veronica Forsberg.
That's it. Veronica Forsberg. And it's brilliant.
It is brilliant.
It's brilliant.
It's a great little pattern.
I mean, seriously, like the business. You know, she's done a great job. I've spoken before, haven't I, about how I don't like it when patterns are too wordy so you don't understand what she means. I've spoken before about how you have issues with the colourwork charts because the charts are too small, or other sort of formatting issues. The charts are great. There's not too much flicking around.
Nope.
The font's really good.
Yep.
It's easy to read.
Chart's nice and big.
All in
clear.
all, I would say it's an exceptional pattern.
It's a brilliant pattern. And you know, there was one project on Ravelry. I was completely like dumbstruck by this. I couldn't believe it. You know, I came across it and I was like, gosh, that one's lovely. And the yarn weight was right for what Dan wanted. It got all of the elements in that he wanted. And I went and looked and I thought, why has this not got any projects? But then a few of her other patterns didn't have very many projects either. And they're all lovely. I couldn't fathom it. But, you know, there's a lot of designers out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I expect that a lot like this lady, like Veronica, has maybe just got lost in the volume. It's just such a lovely pattern. It's a paid for pattern, but really worth it, you know. And you know we're always honest about things, and we will tell you how it is. And this is a great pattern, and I would really encourage you, if you are looking for something like this, give her a go.
Now, there's lots of things which I don't like my middle stitch there is terrible. That needs fixing. It was fine down the bottom, then it got worse. I've messed up the floats around this side, and one of the stitches is just popping inwards a little bit. But the beauty of this situation is because it's such a small project, is I can make immediate changes and I can get better and I can fix it. So talk about a superb thing to make. Now, this is the Blacker Swan DK, and the colourways are Pale Maiden and Hawkweed. Now,
I am insignificant. I feel unneeded.
Now, I had no idea which was which. I didn't know which was perfect.
That is absolutely correct. And this is one of my absolute favourite yarns.
Yes, lots of people recommended this to me as well, so I was thrilled to give it a go.
I love it. So it's Blacker Yarns, the Blacker Swan DK. It's beautiful yarn. Absolutely beautiful. And you're using square, your beloved square Cubics needles.
Which I've done a review of.
Yeah.
let's see these socks then.
Right, so my last thing is another pair of socks, and it's in another one of my favourite bags by Moo and Mouse. It's my Halloween bag, I love this. And, right, now this is a very special pair of socks. There are certain yarns that if I've got leftovers, I don't like getting rid of because they were so lovely and so fantastic. And these 2 yarns that I'm using are 2 such yarns. So what I did was I chose 2 yarns from my stash that I wanted to work with, and I've made a pair of socks out of them. Now I can put this one on a blocker. I've finished one of the socks and I'm on the second. Yeah, I told you that all I've wanted to do is knit socks, and it's absolutely true. Now, the eagle-eyed among you and the experienced in self-striping yarns out there might spot what these yarns are. But what we've got at the top here, so the cuff and the heel are the contrast yarn that went with this self-striping. So the pink, rainbow pink section, that's all one yarn. And this is Nyan Cat from Fibre Nymph Dye Works. I knit Bryony a pair of socks, a complete pair of socks in this yarn years ago. I actually ended up knitting 3 socks because the first one, she was a lot younger then, and I knit it using 60 stitches thinking that would be big enough, and it just wasn't quite big enough. So I re-knit the pair. So I actually knit 3 socks, but then what happened with the pair that I finished is that one of them somehow went into the washer and it faded. It faded quite badly, and she's still got the pair and she does still wear them, but one is quite faded and the other one isn't. I was devastated, absolutely devastated. This yarn is at the time I know it was really popular. A few years ago it was really popular. I don't even know if she dyes any longer, to be honest. I honestly don't know. But I had this little bit left over. So I thought, right, okay, I've got that. And then the other, so from the green down here and then the black was the contrast that went with this self-striping here. And this one is from London House Yarns and it's Yule Ball. And Bryony does have a pair of socks that she was wearing just the other day, actually, in this yarn that she still wears, and they're brilliant, absolutely fine. But I loved it so much, and I had quite a lot of leftovers, that I wanted to put the 2 together, and I had no idea what it was going to look like, but actually I think it's brilliant and quite Halloweeny somehow, I feel. You think it's got a sort of Halloween vibe. Now the heel for this one is my butterfly heel. It looks
like a witch's sock.
It does look a bit witchy, doesn't it? But the heel is my butterfly heel. This is the heel that I used in my mini sock bunting, my cozy reading socks. They were both patron patterns, and I'll be telling you about another design which will be for general release for anybody to purchase. I'll be telling you about that in What's Off My Needles, and that also uses this heel. But I thought I'd try it in this sock, and I think it worked out brilliantly. So it's like a pretend short row heel. It's not using short rows, but it gives you the same effect. So I popped that in because I got this self-striping yarn. I thought that would work lovely. And I've done my umbrella toe. Now again, I've used double points. This hasn't been blocked, but can you see just how lovely that is? So I'm on the second sock, and this is where I get to tell you about these new needles. So here's the second sock, look. I'm almost done with the Nyan Cat section. And these are the needles. Can you see? They are different colours. They're metal, and they are Adi Calibri. So yeah, they're 2.5mm I'm using again. So they're metal, but what's different about them is that you get 2 different ends. One end is really quite pointy and the other end is a bit more dull. So if I show you, so here's the pointy end and then here's the dull end, which to be fair isn't that dull, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, I think the reason they've done this is to give you the option. So if you were doing something with lace, for example, you might want to use the super pointy end, or if it's just round and round stocking stitch, you might want to use just the other end, or sometimes a slightly more dull needle tip is better for if you've got a splitty yarn, that kind of thing. And at first I thought, am I going to find this annoying, having the two different ends? Because if I wanted to always use the pointy end, for example, you've got to remember to spin it a certain way so that you get the pointy end each time when you switch needles. But actually I'm not paying any attention to that, and I'm just knitting with whichever end happens to be there, because it's perfectly fine for stocking stitch. And I think what's just been so nice is that you get that bit of variation. So each time I change needles, I've got a different colour needle. You get 2 blues, 2 gold, and then 1 a sort of pinky colour. So you've got a different colour needle each time. I don't know which tip I'm going to get, so that's a little surprise. And the needles themselves are just lovely. They've got like a matte texture, so they don't, your stitches don't slip. Some metal needles are very slippy, aren't they? Particularly I find higher sharps really slippy, very slick. Some people really like that. I prefer them to have a bit of grip, which is why I love wooden needles so much. But these are kind of like, if you normally like wooden needles and you want to try a metal needle, I would really recommend these, because they're sort of in between. They've got that grip, which is really nice. You can see the stitches are not moving at all because it's matte. It's not slick on there. It's a matte coating. And they're very light. They're lovely and light. They're just gorgeous to work with. I've not had any issues at all. I've knit that whole sock. I'm on the second sock and I'm loving them. So much so that I went and bought 2 more pairs because I wanted to have both socks on the go at the same time. As it happens, I finished that sock really quickly, so I didn't need to do that. But I wanted to get another pair as well for Dan to try, because he knits on 2.5mm. Because I think that you would like these as well. They're lovely. They are a bit pricier than other double points. I think I paid like $8.50 or $8.99, something like that. So they are a little bit more expensive than other sort of plain metal needles, for example. But I would say they're really worth it. I absolutely love them, and they've really gone to the top of my list. Historically, my favourite metal needles were Chowgu double points.
Well, put these on a list, please, and let's make sure we review them in the new year.
I will.
Once you knit with them a bit.
Yes, okay. I will definitely do a review on them. But I would, if you've got some of these in your stash, you might have bought them and you never used them, pull them out and give them a go, because they're lovely.
And if you bought 5 pairs, you could have a gold set, blue set.
Oh, that's true. You could actually. You could do that, couldn't you? Yeah, if you wanted to have them all the same colour. I don't know why they're different colours. That's the only...
That's called keeping the mind engaged.
Maybe that's all it's for.
That is exactly what
Maybe that's all it's for, because it's not like... Because at first I thought, well, it's like you'll know when you're back to the start of the round, but of course you won't, because that colour moves each time. That needle moves around each time, doesn't it? You're not going to be using the same needle.
Correct.
Unless you swapped a blue with a blue, but then that wouldn't work because they've only got 1 pink. So it's going to move, isn't it? So
yes.
I can only think that it's just an aesthetic thing and to engage your mind a bit and just make it fun. It definitely makes it fun. I really, like I say, I really love these needles, and it's making me want to knit the socks. And again, I've had no ladders at all with these. It's down the front here is where it's been. I hope you can see just how lovely that is. It's gorgeous. And to use this Nyan Cat as well, I've just got this tiny bit left, look. I will have the tiniest little nugget left, so I will save that, because you never know when you might need it. And the London House yarns I've got plenty of. I'll have enough of that. And they're both sparkle bases. It's both exactly the same base. That's what I wanted to say. Just the last thing I'm going to say about this is, yes, they are the same base. It's a 2-ply sparkle base, silver stellina. However, I'm finding that the Fibre Nymph base is definitely plumper than the London House yarns. Because I'm switching between the two, I've really noticed that. And strangely, I found when I was working the London House yarns, the grey stripe and this sort of minty stripe felt really thin. The other ones weren't so bad, but those two stripes in particular felt really thin. I thought, I've no idea why that would be. So gorgeous pair of socks. I'm loving socks. I want to cast on 10 more pairs and just sit and knit socks for the rest of my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time, finally, for the moment which Kay and I wait for all year. Oh yes, there's only one reason that you could get me into a dinner jacket at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Ah, yes, he did, yes.
My goodness.
It's very nice. I enjoyed it.
For two
Very handsome.
For two action-packed episodes, get ready, and I hope you're ready to play at home.
Yes.
Because finally it's time for the return of Knit or Forfeit. Two contestants, 10 questions, and one champion. Which actor, famous for his portrayal of James Bond, once modelled knitting patterns for Sirdar? In our quest, we have 3 lifelines.
Go on, I'll use a lifeline.
Which would you like to
I will
use?
use 50-50.
Yes, the winner gets the crown. But what does the loser have to do? What's the forfeit?
Yes, what is the forfeit?
Well, the Swiss darling! Whoa! 2 points, baby! Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when summer is over and those long winter nights start to draw in, there's many things to look forward to. Wearing those wonderful hand-knitted garments, going for wintry walks in the wonderful woods, and of course the return of Knit or Forfeit. Yes, it's back, baby. It's the quiz show just for knitters. 2 contestants, 10 questions, and 1 champion of 2021 will be revealed. Now, for us to have a competition, we need 2 contestants, as I just said. You've got me, and we need the reigning champion. Oh yes, here she is, Kay Jones. She's back to defend her crown, and here is the crown. It's the most coveted crown in the world.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
this is currently,
Queen Elizabeth II has nothing.
It's currently mine, so
it is.
I could be wearing it.
Absolutely, because it is your crown.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Knit or Forfeit, the quiz show just for knitters. The winner gets this crown for 1 year. Yes, this time last year, Kay defeated me, and now I'm back to try and win back my crown, because in 2019 I was, of course, the winner. Yes.
It is staying on my head.
How are you feeling about defending your crown?
Okay.
That doesn't sound very persuasive.
I don't mind if you win.
Oh, stop it.
Okay.
She's the most competitive person in the world, and that's good, because I'm fairly competitive too. As previous viewers of past seasons of Knit or Forfeit will know. Now, this year, we're doing things a little bit differently.
Yes.
Yes, every year we like to change things up just a little bit. And this year, I shall tell you exactly what's going on. So, for those of you who haven't seen Knit or Forfeit before, we have 10 questions. And for every one of those questions that we get right, we get 1 point. Now, we can go for, because the questions, I should have said, they're multiple choice.
Yes.
But we can go for the answer without hearing the multiple choice answers. And if we do that, we get 2 points. To assist us in our quest, we have 3 lifelines. We have 50-50, we have Ask the Audience, and we have Text a Friend. And in the event of a tie, the person who has used the least lifelines is the winner. So using those lifelines is most definitely a tactical thing. Mm-hmm. Now, what about the changes? What have we changed up this year in Knit or Forfeit Champion of 2021? Well, I shall tell you this. Over the years of us running this competition, we've been contacted so many times by wonderful viewers asking if they could get involved by writing some of the questions. And for the first time ever in the history of Knit or Forfeit, 3/4 of the questions that you get asked today will have been submitted by our wonderful Bakery Bear patrons.
Yes.
Woohoo! Thank you all so much for the excitement that you've shown in getting involved with this. You've submitted some wonderful questions. I'm sorry we couldn't use them all, but I'll be letting you know later on in the show how you can get involved by submitting questions that Kay will ask me in my round a bit later on.
Yes.
So keep your ears peeled if you would like to submit a question for my round of Knit or Forfeit. But not only that, this year we wanted to celebrate, because at this time of year I think we all, as the nights start to draw in, we start to reach for the board games.
Yep.
And the board game which has been probably the most regular in my life has of course been Trivial Pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Trivial Pursuit was invented by a Canadian in 1979.
Wow.
And I actually know his name, and I should name check him.
Mr. Pursuit.
Chris Haney was his name.
Right.
Chris Haney in 1979 went looking for his Scrabble set.
Right.
He found it, but it was missing half the letters.
Oh.
And he sat there thinking, what are we going to do? So on the spot, supposedly, he invented a game.
Wow.
And that game was Trivial Pursuit.
Goodness.
By the 1980s, I think it was 1985, we purchased our first set.
Yeah, it was probably about the same for us.
This has been a game that we've had involved in our lives really for 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we play it to this day.
We do.
So we decided that for 4 of the questions in this year's competition, we wanted to ask Trivial Pursuit questions. But to sort of reflect the greatness of Trivial Pursuit, we decided that we needed to ask 2 vintage questions from the 1980s. So it's a proper 1980s question.
It's the original edition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also have a set which we purchased in 2014. So for 4 of Kay's final questions, so 1 to 6, all about knitting, and then her final 4 questions, they will be 1 question on science and nature, 1 question on geography, and we will have 1 from the 1980s and 1 from the 2014s.
Got it.
I thought that would be super fun.
So green and blue questions.
Yes.
If you're a aficionado of Trivial Pursuit, just green and blue.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. Do you feel happy and confident and ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Well, we know when the competition begins because we hear a sound like this. And we know when the competition ends because we hear a sound like this. So if everybody's ready, I think it's time that we played Knit or Forfeit. This is it.
I'm ready.
My goodness, you know when autumn has come. Because I'm sat in my dinner jacket.
You get your dinner jacket out.
You're sat in your gorgeous black dress. Of course, as I mentioned, some of these questions have been submitted by viewers, and we will name check the viewer, but also as well, if you look up in the top corner, it'll also tell you up there whenever we ask a question that's been submitted by someone at home, who that person is and where they're from. So our first question today, if you're ready to hear it,
I'm ready.
has been submitted by Renee in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So thank you so much, Renee, for this brilliant first question of the 2021 season of Knit or Forfeit. So I'll give you the question, and then you can decide if you need to hear the multiple choice answers.
Right.
So here we go. Helix knitting is a technique that creates single row stripes when knitting in the round. According to marthastewart.com, what is the minimum number of different coloured yarns needed for the technique to work?
Well, you would think it's 2, wouldn't you? I've never done helix knitting, but I've heard of it and I think I've seen it. I mean, isn't that the technique that people use when they are alternating yarns? Isn't that helix knitting? Of course, then you wouldn't be using 2 different colours, would you? You would be alternating the same colour. Does that mean you only need 1 colour to do it? I'm just talking myself into something else here. I better hear the answers. I better hear the answers.
Okay. Can I just say, being back here doing this at Forfeit, I suddenly just got a warm feeling.
Did you?
Yes. I also just had a drink of my tea, so maybe it was that.
Does it feel like a year? It feels like about 5 years.
It does. It feels like a long time since we were last.
Years felt like so long, and oh my goodness.
Oh, hey! I forgot to say at the top of the show. Yes, the winner gets the crown, but what does the loser have to do? What's the forfeit?
Yes, what is the forfeit?
Well, the forfeit is this. The loser has to knit whatever the winner asks for.
Ah, right, okay. Okay. Having just watched Ben Fogle going around the Outer Hebrides this morning, I quite fancy a Gansey jumper.
Hey, well.
So maybe he could knit me that if I win.
And I know exactly what I want.
Oh no, don't tell me.
Okay.
Are you going to tell me? No, tell me.
You want me to?
Yeah.
I would like a pair of not long, normal length socks.
Right.
With that lovely ribbing on that you do.
Okay.
So if I win, Kay's knitting me a fully ribbed winter sock, and if she wins, I'm knitting her a Gansey. So you would like to hear the answers?
Okay, hear the answers.
Okay, so your choices are, your multiple choices are A, 4, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 1.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, you see, technically, like I say, I have seen people. Technically, you know, it's just one, isn't it? Because I'm sure that's the technique a lot of people use when they're alternating yarns. But you see, if Martha Stewart said that, how long ago would she have said that? I don't know whether she's still around. All right, I'm going to go with my first thought.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the golden rule.
Okay.
But I initially said 2, didn't I?
Okay.
Even though I know people do it with 1.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to say 2.
Okay.
2, final answer.
Are we locking it in?
I've said final answer. I've done the thing.
Okay, it is locked in. Now, there is no going back. So the question was, helix knitting is a technique that creates single row stripes when knitting in the round. According to marthastewart.com, what's the minimum number of different coloured yarns needed for the technique to work? Kay has said 2. Is she correct? Yes, she is! The golden rule is never try and talk yourself out of an answer you've already given.
And I always do that, don't I?
Yes.
Right.
So well done for going with your gut. Supposedly the optimum number is 3.
Really?
The minimum number is 2.
Right.
The optimum number is 3.
Well, you could, in theory, just have 1 and 2 balls and be alternating your yarns if it's hand-dyed.
I've got no idea, Kay.
I think you could.
I don't even know what helix knitting is.
You're knitting in a spiral and you
Right.
don't get a jog. It involves, I've never done it, but I know it involves something like slipping 3 stitches or something. I don't know.
Right.
Like I say, I've never done it because I don't like to alternate yarns.
Let's move on to question 2.
Yes.
Oh yes, question 2 has been submitted by the wonderful Jimmer in Eagle Point, Oregon.
What? Jimmer?
Yes.
That's a cute name.
It is. I wanted to get that right. She gave me some instruction on how to pronounce it.
Okay.
And that's why I paused for a moment.
In where? Oregon?
Eagle Point in Oregon.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It does. Here's the lovely question. I'm going to describe to you a technique and you need to tell me its name.
Okay.
Okay. This technique enjoys a strong following among crocheters who want to create knitted fabrics. The technique is a cross between knitting and crochet. To undertake this technique, you need a special needle, which is essentially a crochet hook with a cord attached.
Right.
Because you string your yarn to it.
Yes.
What is the name of the technique that I'm describing?
I think I might know.
Oh, that's epic if you do. Oh, it's tricky though, isn't it?
I think I might know. Well, I think it's Tunisian crochet. I've never done it, but I know of Tunisian crochet, and I know that you do it. I've seen it done with like a long. It's basically like a long. It's a knitting needle at one end, but then it's a crochet hook at the other, and it's long. But I suppose you could do it with having a cable on it as well. It's the same kind of thing, isn't it? As having a needle. The only thing I can think of is Tunisian crochet, and that it is a combination. The technique is a combination of knitting and crochet because you have loads of stitches on your hook. Would it be called? I don't know. Yeah, I better hear the answers then.
You sure?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk you out of something.
No, I could be entirely wrong. I'm not an expert in crochet, so I could be entirely wrong. So I better hear the answers.
The possible answers are A, knocking, B, knacking, C, nooking, or D, crotching.
Well, I'm completely baffled. It can't be the fourth one. That sounded ridiculous. But
Crotching.
Crotching. It can't be that, can it? It'll be nooking, won't it? Because nook is a combination of hook and needle. It's got to be nooking. It can't be the others. They just sound
But bear in
stupid.
mind, crotching is a combination of crochet and knitting.
And it can't be, what were the others?
Knacking.
No, it can't be that.
And knocking.
No, it's got to be nooking.
You sure?
No, I'm not sure, obviously.
Okay.
But,
No, I'm not sure, obviously.
but it's a process of elimination.
Okay.
I would say my best guess is nooking.
Are you locking it in?
Yes.
Okay. There's no going back now. No opportunity to use one of those 3 lifelines. 50-50, ask the audience or text a friend. She's gone straight for it. Kay's final answer is nooking. Is she correct? Yes, she is! Now, would you
Never
believe it?
heard of it.
Nooking and Tunisian crochet,
Yeah.
I'm told, are 2 different techniques.
There you go.
People often confuse them
Right.
because I think they are quite similar, but they're different.
I had no idea.
So it's not another word used for Tunisian crochet.
It's something different,
It's
but
a different
similar.
technique.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
And the needle you use is called a nooking needle.
Well, fabulous. I've definitely learnt something new there. Makes me want to nook.
Okay, this is actually a picture question.
Oh.
So in a moment, I'm going to show you a picture of a handsome sheepy.
Oh.
It's a smaller sheep than most, with the rams horned and the ewes mostly hornless. It was kept primarily for wool, but now the 2 largest flocks are feral. The original flock has become world-renowned after they have evolved to survive almost entirely on seaweed.
Okay.
Can you name the breed?
Yes, I think I can.
Now, I'd like to thank Tracy in Newcastle for submitting this question. So do you think you know the answer?
Well, I think I do.
Okay.
But again, I can't be entirely certain.
Okay.
I think it's North Ronaldsay.
Okay.
Oh, I better hear the answers.
You sure?
Yeah, I better hear the answers.
Okay. So, guys decided to hear the answers, and here they are. A. Castle Milk Morit. B. Cheviot. C. Hebridean. D. North Ronaldsay.
It's North Ronaldsay.
Is that your final answer? It's locked in. There's no going back. Is she correct? Yes, she is!
I should have gone for
I would also have accepted their other name, which they're known as, which is Orkneys,
Orkneys, right.
because that's where they live.
Right.
Amazing. I mean, how amazing is that?
Yeah, it is amazing. And they live on the beach. They basically live on the beach.
Do you know how they came to live there? It's because
I'm
the
sure
people...
if you tell me, I'll know.
It was the people who lived on the island wanted to make sure that the land was preserved for crops.
Right.
So over the years, they pushed them further and further out, and they just kept evolving.
And they just adapted themselves to live on seaweed, yeah.
And now quite regularly, according to this, they actually get completely
cut off.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're on to question 4.
Okay.
And this is most definitely my favourite of all the submitted questions.
Right.
This is marvellous. This was submitted by Jackie in Wolverhampton in the UK. So what is Jackie's marvellous question? Well, I shall tell you. Which actor, famous for his portrayal of James Bond, once modelled knitting patterns for Sirdar?
I don't know it, but I'm just now trying to imagine.
Well, I'll tell you this. I can't show you yet, but I have a picture.
Oh, fabulous. I really want it to be Sean Connery, but it could be like George Lazenby, couldn't it? I can also see George Lazenby doing it. I can't really imagine Roger Moore modelling for Sirdar. I don't know why. Go on, answers.
Sure.
Well, yeah, you're just going to give me 4 bonds, but I might be... obviously, but I might be able to narrow it down. Go on.
Your choices are A, Timothy Dalton, B, Roger Moore, C, Pierce Brosnan, or D, Daniel Craig.
Oh, gosh. It's neither of the ones I thought. Well, do you know what? It's not Daniel Craig. It can't be Daniel Craig, can it? I mean, he is in his 50s now, isn't he? I'm swaying towards Timothy Dalton because he was terrible, wasn't he, as Bond? And, well, I thought he was. He wasn't good. And he's the kind of least prolific actor, I would say, out of those people, isn't he? So he's the one maybe that would have needed the money, is what I'm trying to say.
Now remember, you have lifelines, which you could use.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Go on, I'll use a lifeline.
Which would you like to use?
I will use 50-50.
Okay, so I'm going to take away 2 wrong answers and leave 2 right answers, and I can just tell you them, can't I? I don't need to show you.
You don't need to show me.
Okay.
I can remember 2 things.
Okay, so you are left with B, Roger Moore, or C, Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, no! I would have been wrong. Roger Moore or Pierce Brosnan. Oh my gosh, I'm now imagining them both in Sirdar jumpers.
Well, let me tell you in a minute, you're not going to need to imagine.
I really want to say Pierce Brosnan. I just don't know, it could be Roger Moore now. I mean, I've never... Oh, look, I'm going to go for the one that I thought it wasn't. I'll say Roger Moore.
It's a shocker.
Okay, Roger Moore.
Locked in?
Yes.
Right. Kay has said that the answer is Roger Moore. Is she correct? Yes, she is!
Oh.
Wow! Hey! Take a look at that.
I want to knit that.
Doesn't he look dandy?
He's in a tank top, everyone.
Oh, yes, he's looking marvellous, isn't it? He's looking very saint-like. Because, of course, he was the saint.
So that is the 60s, isn't it? I totally need to knit that. I can't believe he's in a tank top. Look at that. Sirdar crochet wool.
He looks
chest 38 inches. Is it only one size?
He looks in his 20s there, I think.
Gosh, maybe it's only one size. That's crazy, isn't it? But
that's definitely a 60s photo.
Got the pattern number. I might be able to look that up.
Okay, we're on to question 5. Right.
If I can make it through the knitting questions, I'll feel more comfortable with Trivial Pursuit, I think.
Okay.
But then maybe not.
Here we go with question 5.
Okay.
Duplicate stitch is a technique which allows you to work back and forth over your knitted stitches with a different colour.
Yes.
When done carefully, you can't even tell that the stitches weren't knitted in the contrast colour.
Yes.
Many people don't realise duplicate stitch has another name which is also known as.
I know it.
Can you tell me what that is?
Well, I know it. And if I'm wrong, then I've always been wrong. But I believe it's Swiss darning. I can't think of anything else it would be, and I do know it as Swiss darning. I'm going to go for it because I couldn't be more confident. And if I'm wrong, then that's fine by me, because if this was one of the multiple choices, I would have gone for it. So if I'm wrong, I would have been wrong anyway, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I'm going to go for it. Swiss darning.
Locked in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, tricky point in the competition. Kay is really gambling here because she could, of course, use a lifeline. She could hear the answers, but she's going for it in the hope that she'll get 2. She's locked in Swiss darning. Is she right? You're going to have to come back in part 2 to find out. Oh yes, what a start she's had. She's 5 questions in. She's got every question right. She's gone for 2 with question 5. When we see you later on in the show, we'll find out if she's correct. We'll see you later. Whoa, what a cliffhanger. Well, of course, it's only a cliffhanger if you don't know the answer.
Yes.
But we shall find out if she's correct when we come back for the next exciting part of Knit or Forfeit later on in the show. But my goodness, weren't the questions marvellous from the people at home? Just
excellent
superb.
questions.
Thank you all so much. And we'll find out later on, actually, how you can submit questions for my round in 2 weeks' time, which would be marvellous.
Make them hard.
Yeah. Kay needs your help. Well, who knows? Maybe she doesn't. You'll find it. But, I mean, she's doing great, isn't she? Wow. So, yes, we'll be back later on in the show and we'll find out how Kay finishes off her first and only round of Knit or Forfeit. But right now, it's time for us to find out, Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
I do have one lovely fluffy thing that's off my needles. Look, I finished the fluffy socks that I was knitting. Yay!
They're gorgeous.
Thank you very much. They've got a lace panel down both sides of the foot and the leg. And these are going to be a new design.
Oh.
So they've just gone into test knitting. Some of our lovely patrons have very kindly volunteered to test them for me. So I'm hoping to have them out sometime in November. I'm not sure when, but sometime in November, which is just the perfect time to be knitting these socks because they are super fluffy. If I hold them like that, can you see? Can you see the fluff? So these are knit using a DK weight held together with a mohair silk lace weight. So these are the yarns that I use. These are my leftovers. So the 2 DK weights, this is a gorgeous yarn actually. It's very similar to the yarn that I used for my cozy reading socks, which these are sort of based on that. But it's just this yarn hasn't got the silk in. The original one had some silk in as well. But it's Sirdar Snuggly Cashmere Merino double knitting. Really lovely yarn. And it's, I'm not sure of the composition, but it's basically merino and cashmere. And I think there's a bit of nylon in there as well. It's a lovely yarn. And you get 130 metres per 50 grams. And the 2 colours I used are blush is the pink and cream is the cream. Obviously. So it's those 2 lovely colours, and then I used a Drops Kid Silk as the fluff element, and this is Off-White number 1, and it's just this lovely creamy shade. And these are knit holding both of those held together, and these have got my butterfly heel in that I mentioned just on the last project. I have included, within the pattern, I have included a video tutorial on how to do this because it is all written down. You know, I've written it down in detail how you do this heel. However, I know that a lot of us out there are visual learners, and it's just so much easier, I find, to watch somebody do something. You watch the video and then you go to the written pattern. It makes so much more sense. So there is a video tutorial in there. And I've called these the Floofy House Socks because I always call this sort of yarn it's floofy. I've always said, oh, it's dead floofy, that yarn. So I thought it's a perfect name. So these are the Floofy House Socks. So like I said, these should be out sometime in November. I'll let you know. There's 3 sizes as well. When I did the cozy reading socks, there was only 1 size. There's 3 in this. So it's the standard sort of small, medium and large, you know, the sort of sizes that will fit a fingering weight yarn. It's relatable to these sizes. They do have a more relaxed fit because they are designed to be that kind of sock that you would pull on like a Saturday morning, you're in bed reading the newspapers, or Friday night watching a film and you're on the sofa and you pull on your socks. That kind of situation is when that's when I would be wearing these, and it's the sort of time I would expect people to wear them. So they do have that slightly relaxed fit. It just makes them really cozy. You know, they're not strangling your feet. It's like a slipper sock. Imagine a slipper sock. And it's got that lovely lace panel as well, which is really nice to work. So that's the Floofy House Socks. They will be out sometime in November, and I will let you know.
It's funny, actually, when I was talking to the lady at the mechanics about the socks, I was actually talking to our mechanic, Cowl, and Cowl is probably falling asleep right now whilst his wife, Jan, watches.
Cowl, wake up.
Yeah, wake up, Cowl. And he was talking about ribbing on socks and how he doesn't like it when a sock
falls down.
And it's so interesting, isn't it, the amount of different choices that you have when it comes to ribbing. And it's funny that we should mention ribbing and socks because, of course, that is your forfeit. If I win, it's all forfeit.
I've got to knit down some fully ribbed socks.
Well, I've decided, actually, I've sort of thought on a little bit more. They don't need to be, like, super long.
No.
They can just be like...
Just a normal winter length socks.
You could even knit them like summer length. Well, not really short summer length. Somewhere in between winter and summer length.
Okay, right. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
We're assuming here, of course, that I'm going to win in case...
That is true, but I'm just sort of building myself up. I have to build myself up to knitting ribbed socks for Dan.
What I'd like them to be, the key thing is that they're in sort of nice wintry yarn.
Oh, right, okay, so more like an opal or something.
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Thanks, I've not knit you an opal sock in a long time.
Something like that would be beyond perfection.
Right, okay.
And what was it I was doing for you again? I can't remember if I win.
Oh, a Gansey jumper.
Oh, yes. Now you're talking.
Yes.
You see, the problem is, I don't see that as a forfeit. Perhaps I will.
Yeah.
Once I get into it. On the 6 foot long DPNs that are like.
No, because
really
traditional
tiny.
Ganseys are worked on DPNs.
Yeah, that's the way.
Yeah.
Can't beat a traditional Gansey. Oh no.
Yes.
Look, if we're going to find out who's going to be knitting what because they've lost, we need to find out how Kay's going to do in her round of knit or forfeit. So the tension is mounting. We need to find out, was she correct on her question 5? So without further ado, let's get back for more knit or forfeit. Welcome back to Knit or Forfeit. My goodness, talk about tension in this room. She's desperate to know the answer. Oh yeah, so the question was, duplicate stitch is a technique which allows you to work back and forth over your knitted stitches with a different colour. When done carefully, you can't even tell that the stitches weren't knitted in the contrast colour. Many people don't realise duplicate stitch has another name, which it's also known as. Can you tell me what that is? Now, Kay has locked in Swiss darning, but just for fun, I think we should have a listen to what the multiple choice questions would have been if she'd listened to them. Okay, so your choices would have been A, Dutch darning, B, Scotch darning, C, repeat last row stitching, or D, Swiss darning! Whoa! 2 points, baby! Whoa! 6-0.
6-0.
And you're not even on question 6?
No.
Oh my goodness. Neil, I did a bit of research into this and I couldn't find out what. I'm assuming maybe it was invented by the Swiss.
Maybe it was. I don't know why it's called that either.
Because it looked to me like in the research I did that it was first of all called Swiss darning and then it became known as duplicate stitch.
Right.
And if you think about it, that sort of makes a lot more sense because duplicate stitch is not a very inventive name.
No.
It just tells you what it is.
Tells you what it is. Tells you what you're doing. Yeah.
So perhaps someone thought, oh, do you know what? We'll call it that because people don't really know what Swiss darning is. So I just wonder what the history is. If you know what the history is, let us know. Comment below.
I like doing it. I like Swiss darning.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for question 6. Now then, on the 26th of August 2006, Miriam Tedgels from the Netherlands became the world's fastest knitter. Can you tell me how many stitches she knitted in 1 minute to set the record on that day?
I can't tell you. I have heard of speed knitting. I couldn't tell you what the answer is. I've got a sort of idea in my head of what I would imagine it to be. But let's hear the answers.
What do you imagine it might be?
Somewhere
just for the folks at home, they might be interested.
Somewhere
in 1 minute.
Somewhere in the hundreds.
Right.
100 and something. Okay. Maybe.
Okay, so here are the answers.
Yeah.
A, 95. B, 118. C, 218. Or D, 190.
You see, if I was going to guess, I would have gone for a high 100 because you've got 60 seconds and you've got to think, could you knit 2 stitches in a second? I mean, that is...
Wow.
Yeah. But these people use, like, knitting belts, don't they? I think the speed knitters I've seen use a knitting belt and they have, like, and what you do is you jam your needle into the knitting belt and basically... it stabilises that and it minimises the movement that you've got to make.
Right, okay.
Because it's the movement that takes time, movement of the yarn that takes time.
Right. Now, remember, you have 2 lifelines left.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to use them.
Okay. So you could ask the audience.
I know. That's my tactical thing. No, I'm not going to do that because I like to minimise my lifelines. I only really like using the 50-50. So I'd rather risk it because I'm 1 ahead in points anyway, aren't I? So even if I get it wrong, I'm still at 100%. 2 a second would be 120, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I've got this wrong in my head. So that I would say more 118 then. Okay. Because that's just under 2 a second. For some reason, I don't know why I was multiplying that wrong. Right, okay. I'll go with 118.
Okay.
Then.
Is it locked in?
118, yes.
Boom!
Because that's just under 2 a second.
Right. Okay, so this is a good effort, I think, not using a lifeline.
Right.
Because I'd have definitely used a lifeline there. But of course, it's a tactical game too. Because if she uses too many and we draw, I'm the winner. So the question was, on the 26th of August 2006, Miriam Tedros from the Netherlands became the world's fastest knitter. Can you tell me how many stitches she knitted in 1 minute to set the record that day? The choices were 95, 118, 218 or 190. Kay said 118. Was she correct? Yes, she was! Oh my goodness.
I'd have got that wrong if I hadn't realised I was multiplying wrong in my head.
7-0.
7-0.
7-0.
You see, this is it.
into...
I'm now predicting the Cardinals, aren't I?
Yes.
Super Bowl, they'll be at how many games do they play altogether?
Well, this year it's 17.
17-0.
Okay. So we're on to question 7. It's the first of the Trivial Pursuit questions, and to really get in the zone for Trivial Pursuit, Kay has her pie.
I always have pink, of course.
And she also has her wedges.
I've got 2 blue. I have got 2, but I've got 2 blue and 2 green.
So every time she gets one right, she'll get to slide one into her pie.
Yes.
And then we'll compare pies at the end of round 2, and we'll see who's won the battle of the Trivial Pursuit. Oh, yes. So, question 7. This is a green question from 2014.
Okay.
In a primary rainbow, which colour appears at the bottom?
Do you start with red at the top, or does red start at the bottom? No, you start with red at the top, don't you, and work down. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So it's violet.
Is that your final answer?
There's no multiple choice with these.
Of course there is.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'll go multiple choice then.
Okay.
But I think it's violet, isn't it?
No problem. Yeah. So the choices are A, red, B, green, C, violet, or D, yellow.
Well, it's violet, isn't it? Don't you start with red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Yeah, it's got to be violet. It's not the other way around. Violet.
Final answer?
Yeah.
It's locked in. There's no going back now. Is she right? Yes, she is! Woo-hoo! Oh my goodness. This is a round and a half. You are on 8 points after question 7. This is stupendous. We're on to question 8. This is a green question from 1991.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Come on, 1991. It's my era. Oh, listen to me now. I'll get this wrong.
What do astronauts know as the LRV?
LRV.
Yes.
Is it Lunar Roving Vehicle? Or do you mean what do they call it? What's their nickname for it? Or do you mean what does LRV stand for?
In essence, it means what does LRV stand for?
Right, well that's what sprung in my head, but I will hear the options.
Okay. And the options are A, Lunar Raiding Vehicle, B, Lunar Roving Vehicle, C, Lunar Roving Ventricle, D, Landing Radar Vent.
B, because that's what I said before.
Is that your final answer?
I said that. You all heard me say it.
It's locked in.
Is this a blue? Is this a blue?
This is a green question.
Oh, it's another green.
Yes, because it's science and nature.
I've got my green wedge.
So
Lunar Roving Vehicle.
The question was, what do astronauts know as the LRV? Kay has said the Lunar Roving Vehicle. Is she correct? Yes, she is! Wow, what a round! Oh my goodness.
Now
This is amazing.
I'm going to alternate the colours, so I've put the green in there, because we can't have them together, can we?
Okay, we have...
Oh, come on, 100%. Oh, no, I shouldn't have said that.
This is question 9. This is a blue question from 2014.
Okay.
Which mountainous country's national flag features a llama and a condor?
I don't know, but I'm trying to think of where llamas are. Isn't it Peru? I'm not sure. Give me the answers.
Okay. So your possible answers are...
Oh, I've got my geography book up here.
Yes, you can't look in it.
Oh, the flags are in it. Oh, okay, go on.
Your choices are A, Bolivia.
Right.
B, Peru. C, Kenya.
No.
Or D, Bhutan.
No, it's not Bhutan and it's not Kenya. Isn't Bhutan in, like... Bhutan? Where is Bhutan?
I think it's in Asia, actually.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was more... Bhutan was like sort of Thai, Vietnam, that sort of area, but I could be completely wrong. I said Peru. Oh, Peru or Bolivia. I said Peru, didn't I? I'm sure alpacas are from the Andes.
They've got hooves instead of handies.
Handies, yeah. These aren't alpacas, though. These are llamas, but I think it's... I mean, it could be Bolivia. But, right, go with your gut. Go with your gut. All right, look. It doesn't matter if I get it wrong. Peru.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Locked in?
Yeah.
No going back now?
No.
Would you like to take a look at the flag before I give you the answer?
Yeah.
There's the flag. The llama's right in the middle. Yeah, it's hard to see. If you zoomed right in, I checked too, you could see it.
Where's the condor?
The condor's on the top there, the black thing. The black thing on the top.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know what their flags look like, so it could be either still.
Okay, so Kay has said Peru. Is it correct? No, it's not! Oh, no.
It's Bolivia.
Oh, it's Bolivia.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Everything was going so well. And then it all went wrong.
Silly flag. Where's my...
At question 9.
The bucket's up there.
I've shown you the flag, you nana.
I know.
Okay, we are on to question 10. It's the final question.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. This is a blue question. From 1989.
Oh, brilliant.
From where has someone with ET on his vehicle come if he isn't an extraterrestrial?
Well, I kind of think it must be Estonia.
And that's the actual question that was on the card. I didn't make that bit up.
What did you say? Was it funny? I was just listening. I was just thinking of...
Yeah.
What did you say? Did you say something about outer space?
Yes. From where has someone with ET on his vehicle come if he isn't an extraterrestrial?
Could it be anything other than Estonia? I'll hear the answers.
Okay.
Let's hear the answers.
Okay. So your choices are A, Estonia, B, El Salvador, C, Egypt, or D, Ecuador.
I still think it's got to be Estonia, but you see, I've never seen a number plate that's from either Egypt or Ecuador. El Salvador. There isn't a T in El Salvador, is there? But that doesn't necessarily, because I know, like I said, I'm sure some of the letter is not in there. Right, go with what you initially thought. Let's go with that, and I'll say...
So you sure you don't want to use any lifelines?
No,
okay.
No. Not doing that. Let's go with Estonia, because that's what I thought, didn't I?
Okay, it's your final answer?
Yes.
Okay, it's locked in. The choices were Estonia, El Salvador, Egypt, or Ecuador. Well, I can tell you that I have seen on the road a car from Estonia.
And it doesn't...
When I used to go on holiday to Spain a lot. Right. And as I remember it, their cars say on the back EST.
Oh, no.
So that means the answer has to be something else. Unfortunately, you're definitely wrong. Aww. Because whether I was right or not, the answer is Egypt.
Oh, Egypt.
Oh, no.
Oh, my beloved Egypt. I should have gone with Egypt.
But look, you've still got 9.
I didn't get any of my blue wedges.
Oh.
Look.
Oh, no, that's where it's gone wrong.
I can't believe that.
With the geography.
Yeah, you see? Green, science and nature. I'm golden with green, so to speak. Blue, obviously not.
But look, it's an amazing round. You were absolutely flying. You flew through the knitting questions.
Yes.
You were flying up until the geography questions.
Yes.
But because you answered one without hearing the answer, without hearing the answers, you got 2. So that means you finished on 9. 9. Which is a stupendous score.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, isn't it? I feel like
You've done superbly well, really. You've set an unbelievably high score.
I should have got 11 out of 10 and let myself down.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an amazing start to Knit or Forfeit 2021.
Good questions, everyone. Thank you.
Now, anyone who wants to submit a question on knitting for me to answer in the next round of Knit or Forfeit, there is a link below in the show notes. If you follow that link, it's for Bakery Bear patrons, and you can submit a question for Kay to use in the next round of Knit or Forfeit. And if you do submit a question, we will do our best to use them all, but it might not be possible, so apologies if we don't. So apologies to anyone who submitted a question for this time and we didn't use it. Thank you so much. They were all brilliant.
Thank you, everyone.
What an amazing score. Oh, yes.
9 out of 10.
You've done tremendously well. It's a great start.
Yeah.
Yes, it could be enough to hold on to that crown.
To keep my lovely crown.
But will it be enough? Will it? Well, the only way you're going to find out is by tuning in to the next exciting episode of Knit or Forfeit, which will be when we see you in 2 weeks' time. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon for more Knit or Forfeit. Now that's what I call a round, young lady. 9 out of 10.
That's not bad, is it?
That's a really, really good effort.
I know, it should have been 11 out of 10 though, shouldn't it? Really?
Who would have thought that it was the Trivial Pursuit questions where you'd come and stuff? How we selected those Trivial Pursuit questions
flags
is
of South America.
When we play Trivial Pursuit, Kay's sort of strong points are science and nature and geography. My strong points, just as a teaser for next time, are history and entertainment. So those will be my two question categories that Kay will be asking me. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe you got both of those geography questions wrong. Oh no.
I know.
Disaster. And of course, as we said there at the end of Knit or Forfeit, if you want to get involved and write some questions for the next round, just follow the link in the show notes below, and we would absolutely love, because it's been just the coolest thing getting you involved in the show a little bit. We'd love for you to do just that and submit a wonderful question.
Yes.
Folks, my goodness, it's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Well, you've bought something.
I bought something. Now, this was inspired by something that I've been watching, actually. And I noticed, I don't know how I hadn't seen it before this, but Ben Fogle has got a new series currently playing on BBC. So if you've got iPlayer, you can watch it on there. And it's called Sacred Islands, I think. It's got Sacred Islands in the title. If you just go on iPlayer and search Sacred Islands, I'm sure it'd come up. There's 2 out at the moment, and they're an hour long each. And basically what he's doing is going on like a little sort of pilgrimage, I think is how he describes it, to the islands, to sort of Scottish islands. And he starts off in the Inner Hebrides, and then he's now at the, I think it's like the Southern Outer Hebrides. I forget exactly which ones. But he's touring around all of these islands and talking to people that live there and just getting to know them and why they live there and the experience of living there. And he's just showing you the islands. And it's the most fabulous series, honestly. I love Ben Fogle. We've said this before. I love everything that he's done, really. But this particularly just grabbed me. It's so beautiful. The camera work and everything is so beautiful, and the islands are just unbelievable. The beaches and they're just fantastic. I was totally gripped watching it. It's so lovely to watch. And within that, he wears these hand-knitted jumpers, and I've seen him wearing them before, and one of them in particular is like a pale blue jumper, and it's organza jumper inspired. And at one point he speaks to this woman who knits Gansey jumpers. Depending on where you are, they're referred to slightly differently. It can be a Gansey, it can be a Jersey, it can be a Guernsey. But he got this one on that he'd bought in Eriskay, one of the islands, a few years prior, and she was telling him what the meanings of all the motifs were and everything, and explaining how they were knit and things like that. It was really fascinating. But it just made me, I love Gansey wear, and I have pulled it out. I designed this cowl a few years ago, and it's a patron pattern. It's called the Harbour Cowl. Fold it over and hold it. It's part of Kay's
Platinum collection.
Can you see it's got all of these Gansey stitch patterns in? Tree of Life here. I forget the meaning of all of them, but I chose ones in particular that had really lovely meanings. And this is knit with the same yarn that we were just talking about, the Blacker Yarns, Blacker Swan. And you've worn this a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous cowl. But just
I was wearing
remembering...
it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, just remembering designing this and knitting it and how much I enjoyed it. I kind of went looking for books on Gansey, and I found this one, which turns out to be a brand new book. I didn't realise. But I got this. So it's the Gansey Knitting Source Book by Di Gilpin and Sheila Greenwell. I got it on Amazon, but it's brand new, and I've looked at the date. It's 2021. But anyway, I got this, and I'm going to be reviewing this. I'm going to do a review of it. From just flicking through, I just spent half an hour yesterday afternoon flicking through. It's brilliant. It's like a directory of all Gansey stitch patterns, and it tells you the meanings of them. And there's lots of information at the beginning about Gansey and the traditions and the history and everything. There's a section on the yarns that are used, and then at the back there are a few patterns as well, full patterns for cardigans and a jumper and a shawl and a hat, all using Gansey stitch patterns, and some socks there. It looks like a really lovely book, so I thought I will do a review on this and let you all know what I think. But on first, just looking at it, it looks really great, really beautiful book. So I'm really enjoying looking at that.
We're getting ready for our next patron-only show, and it's actually going to be a week earlier than normal. We normally do it the final Sunday in the month. We're actually going to do it on the 24th. So it's on Sunday, the 24th of October. We're going to kick off some Halloween fun.
Yes.
With our patron-only show, so you can join us. The show is recorded live, and it'll be broadcast, actually, British summertime still. So it'll be from 2 till 3 p.m. British summertime.
Yeah.
And then at 3:10, 3:15, the show will become available for you all to watch at your leisure whenever you like. And it'll be kicking off our Halloween celebrations, because not only do we have our patron-only show coming out on Sunday, but also the latest issue of our magazine Knitability, our Halloween special, has just come out yesterday.
Oh, brilliant.
And that features some wonderful interviews with Richard de Vries. I hope I've pronounced that name right, Richard. He's an absolutely outstanding maker. Also as well, front page, there's Helen Stewart. We're interviewing the wonderful designer Helen Stewart, but we've also got articles from Matty Tatton. We've also got an article from Jerry Cooney. Kay gives you a review of The Salt Path by Jay Wynn, is it? Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, read the article and you'll find out exactly who wrote the book.
Yes. She's got a funny first name.
Her surname's definitely Wynn.
Wynn, W-I-N-N, yes.
Yeah. So that is also out and available for you to read right now. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, my goodness. Sadly, you've got to wait 2 weeks before you find out who's going to be crowned the champion of 2021. But please do, if you have a burning question which you want to submit, please do get involved, because Kay would love some help.
Yes.
In defeating me.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Make them good.
Hey, don't miss as well. We've actually just published, it came out on Tuesday this week, it's Kay's original What's in Your Oven series.
Oh, wow.
You know how we started doing the Favourite Places to Knit Revisited? Well, people loved that so much. We've done the same with What's in Your Oven, and that was even more embarrassing than Favourite Places to Knit.
I'm not looking at them. No chance.
I've re-edited them with all the techniques that we've learned in the last 5-6 years, and we're reissuing them so that you can watch them again, but also it's the first time ever that we've listed them with full ingredients lists, and also it's the first time they've ever been listed on our website. And we've had so many people ask us over the years, I really want to make the Chelsea buns, which is the episode that just went out on Tuesday, so don't miss that. It's called What's in Your Oven Retasted. Oh, yes.
Oh, very good.
So thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks for more.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which they're favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what